In Serradifalco, Sicily, on Friday, 26 April 1889, the sun rose at 5:04 a.m. and set at 6:39 p.m. But my grandfather, Gaetano Coniglio the Elder, never saw it rise or set because he was down in the bowels of Stinconi, one of the local sulfur mines, working to earn a meager living for his wife Maria Carmela Calabresi and their family. Maria Carmela had borne him 8 children, but Raimondo, the eldest, had left for Argentina, and 3 others had died in infancy, including little Leonardo 3 years earlier. Gaetano had entered the mine long before sunrise, and as the hour approached 8 in the evening, he packed his gear and made the long, slippery climb out of the mine. He trod on footholds barely carved in the rock, slippery from the sweat of the laborers of the Garuzzi, the mine boys who toiled all day, carrying the raw sulfur to the furnace outside the mine. The moon was new and invisible, but even so, as he left the black mouth of the mine, by comparison the starlit sky shone like dawn. His kumbari, pickmen like himself, were the brothers Vincenzo and Salvatore Barile. They accompanied him as he walked the 3 miles to his humble home at Via Migliore number 10. Like them, he was virtually exhausted, but his thoughts were about Maria Carmela. She was in her final days of pregnancy, and it had not been an easy one. He knew that his only daughter, 13-year-old Maria, not only would be tenderly caring for her mother, but also would have a bowl of hot minestrone ready for him when he arrived, perhaps even with a shred of the lamb they had relished on Easter the previous Sunday. But as he approached the corner of Via Roma and Via Migliore, he saw Maria anxiously pacing there. When she spied him, she ran to him, shouting, "Papà, papà, saleni, saleni, lo bambino arriva. Papa, papa, come sir, the baby boy has arrived." He and his friends hurried into the building, scattering the family livestock kept on the ground floor, 2 hens, a rooster, and 1 remaining lamb. Gaetano rushed upstairs to the living quarters to see Maria Carmela calmly suckling a red-faced, black-haired cherub. A stoic who did not often show his emotions, Gaetano laid a tender hand on his wife's cheek and muttered, "Ha fatto bene, cara. You've done well, dear." Carmela took the praise and jokingly responded, "Uno stato, era nato leggendo, indo andursi imparare a parlare." Where have you been? He was born at 5 o'clock. He already knows how to speak. The rest of the evening into the early hours was spent in an alcove of the living area by Gaetano and his friends Cino and Torito, made somewhat festive by the decorations and baskets of palms Gaetano had woven 2 weeks earlier on Palm Sunday. The Combati nursed a small bottle of wine that Torito had magically produced from his pack, while Gaetano sang the praises of his new son, not omitting the fact that he had fathered the child at age 53. Homemade bread dipped in the wine helped to sustain their revelry, as his friends cried, "Tanuccio, tu pure hai fatto bene. Gaetano, you too have done well." The night deepened, and they realized they must return to the mine that morning. Each found a warm spot on the floor and napped as best he could, while Maria tended to the needs of her mother and her new baby brother. As Saturday morning approached, the men shook themselves awake, grabbed crust of bread in their packs, and began to walk back to Stinconi. Dawn was staining the sky, and they approached the mine with trepidation. The mine owner was Mastro Legalso. They called him Masho Babbo, Master Dummy. He was standing arms akimbo in the mine's entranceway, and he berated them for being late, saying he would dock them for the lost time. Emboldened by his new fatherhood, and perhaps by last night's wine, Gaetano retorted, "Go ahead, and while you're at it, you can dock me for a half day, because this morning I'm taking my son to the municipio to have his birth registered." Before Mashu Baba could sputter a response, Cino and Turito piped up, "You can dock us too, because we're going as his witnesses." And they turned on their heels and trudged back into town. So it was that at 10 that morning, 27 April 1889, Cino and Turito, with Gaetano gingerly cradling his baby boy, took the short walk to the town hall on Via Duca di Serradifalco. Gaetano presented the child for Town Secretary Pasquale Vaccari to see, while a clerk recorded the details. "Your name?" "Gaetano Coniglio." "Age?" Gaetano, with obvious pride, replied, 53. "Occupation?" "Sulfur miner." "Date and time of birth?" "The 26th of this month at 5 in the afternoon." "Address?" "Via Migliori, number 10. "Mother of the child?" "Carmela Calabresi, my wife." "What do you name the child?" There was a rigid naming convention in Sicily, requiring the first and second child of each gender to be named after their respective grandparents. This tradition had already been met with Gaetano's earlier children, so he responded, "I'm not likely to have any more sons. I'll give him my own name, and the name of my grandfather, Gaetano." "Have you brought witnesses to this registration?" "Yes, my friends, Vincenzo and Salvatore Barilli. They're sulfur miners too." "Can any of you write?" "If we could write, would we be sulfur miners?" It may not have happened exactly that way, but who can say it didn't? The clerk wrote down only the names and the dates as reported by my grandfather. The meat of the story comes from my heart.